Immigration. Congress failed to make any headway on the issue last year, and Democratic leaders have given no indication that immigration is on the agenda for this year. Hi, I'm Chris Castile, the Washington Bureau of the Oklahoman, and today I have with me Mike Spradling, president of the Oklahoma Farm Bureau. And the Farm Bureau is concerned about immigration, and they've brought almost 100 Oklahoma farmers and cattlemen to town this week to talk to Congress about several issues, including immigration. Mike, what is it that you want Congress to do on immigration this year that would help farmers in Oklahoma?
Well, we'd really just like to come up with an immigration bill. We think certainly that's been ignored for quite some, way too long. And of course, we're concerned it's going to be ignored until after the election.
And how does that affect harvest? How does it affect the producers back there? Is there just not enough labor to get the work done?
Well, it's very difficult to find, not only in Oklahoma, but across this United States, especially in your large vegetable producing states such as California and things of that nature. But in Oklahoma, certainly it's affected us. We had not, just last November, we had the state bill 1804, which came in and made, dealt with immigration.
Right.
And we've had tremendous exodus of immigrants in Oklahoma that were working there, not only in agriculture but land care and construction and landscaping as well. So those things we've seen a tremendous, it's had a tremendous effect negatively in our state of Oklahoma, even to the tune to where our State Chamber of Commerce is concerned about it, and they're getting involved in it as well now.
And are there special visas that the federal government allows for agricultural workers that you would like to see continued or expanded? Is that?
Well, we'd like to see certainly the visas come in, but we need to have it in a very expeditious manner. Some of the problems we have is just too time-consuming to get them up here. I know we've had instances where growers have actually applied for them and they were approved for the workers, but by the time they got here, it was 2 to 3 weeks, some of them as much as a month and a half after harvest has started. So that's something we've got to address. We need it very timely, but we have to have the numbers too. And that's one of the things we don't, as far as legally, we don't have enough of the numbers that can come through, but then we need to have them in a very timely manner.
Sure. Another issue that the farmers are going to be talking to lawmakers on the Hill about this week is manure created by farm animals, whether chickens or cows, and whether or not the application of that manure on the ground can be, whether that should be exempted from what's called the Superfund law, which is a pollution law. Now, there's a big legal case going on that was started by the Attorney General of Oklahoma, Drew Edmondson, against some poultry farmers. I believe most of them, or poultry companies, believe most of them are in Arkansas, that do have operations in Oklahoma about the application of chicken manure on the ground, and he claims that it's polluting the waters of eastern Oklahoma. What is the legislation up here that the Oklahoma Farm Bureau would like to see passed?
Well, certainly we're still working on a federal law that says that manure is not a hazardous material and hazardous waste. Certainly in Oklahoma, as you mentioned, the poultry, it is a big issue. Poultry growers for years have been known to spread litter on their pastures in order to produce extra grass for cattle, which replaces conventional commercial fertilizer. So it's very important then to be able to be allowed to spread that. And of course, the court case several years ago in Tulsa set up a special master, which is in charge of going out to these farms. They can't spread litter until a master comes out, and then they'll do a soil sample. And by the scientific research and knowing what plants utilize what amounts of nutrients, then he'll make a recommendation of what they can actually apply. And to this point, there hasn't been any of the growers out of compliance, but the Attorney General is still trying to make regulations dealing with this instead of just enforcing the law, which Attorney General, really that's what his duties are. But the legislature should be the one, if there is any regulatory to come back through this, that's where it really ought to be. But right now, though, they've had an injunction to keep these growers from spreading litter as spring approaches, and we are waiting now to hear from the ruling from the judge. And there's been an extension, which this injunction will probably have some effect on the trial that's going to come up later this summer, or the summer of 2009. But there has been a 45-day extension to set that trial back. So, and this probably will, as I mentioned, it probably have some effect on which way that trial goes. So it means a lot to us. But we're not only concerned about it in the poultry issue. This is a livestock issue.
Right.
And so this could trickle on down, possibly, in the hearing. We've heard the cattle mentioned. And certainly that's the last thing we want to see is this thing go on to all forms of livestock. It'd be very detrimental. It'd absolutely destroy the livestock industry, state of Oklahoma, if manure is to be found as a hazardous material.
Right, and I understand that this is a somewhat unusual approach by the Attorney General, this lawsuit, and has there ever been a lawsuit claiming that cattle manure was a hazardous waste, or is it just been chicken waste that's been the source of these?
Well, of course, the whole thing comes about from phosphorus that his contention is, and the phosphorus is actually polluting the streams in certain watersheds. The fact of the matter, though, all plants have phosphorus in it. Now, we can probably eliminate, of course, again, we're going to have to rely on sound science, but you can eliminate the poultry industry in that area totally, and that's not going to totally solve the problems of phosphorus. Every plant, every leaf, that hits the ground, decomposes, has phosphorus in it. So there's several other things that contribute to phosphorus and creating a problem. And to point out poultry as the source is wrong. And so we've had again, this is what this trial is about. You have one person pointing at one industry, and this thing's much broader than the poultry. So there are ways that we can. There's been compromise that's tried to work out. They've moved. Matter of fact, it's hard to find litter in that area anymore with the cost of nitrogen fertilizer. Now they've developed a tremendous market to have it taken out of the watershed and spread on other areas out of the watershed. And so if you were actually looking for litter today, you probably wouldn't find it.
What's the support like on Capitol Hill for the legislation that would exempt animal waste from?
Well, it's been a very friendly. Of course, again, when we're looking at the state of Oklahoma, this is in Oklahoma now, but this could be a national thing that every state needs to be concerned with. But we have a very friendly atmosphere here with our delegation in Oklahoma on this issue.
Great. Well, Mike, thanks so much for coming in. And look for more on this issue and others concerning the farmers in Oklahoma and the Oklahoman.